So I wanted to share the time that I met Lynda Carter. Sitting here doing some overtime and just thought it'd be a good chance to make a few videos talking about some of my experiences as a trooper. And so Lynda Carter just so happened to be in one of the Jockey Club suites at the Derby. And we were taking the governor around to meet certain people before the big race. And we were just going from room to room on the itinerary. It really didn't say who was in what room, but we just had the room numbers and so forth, and who had booked the room. Well, this particular room was Jerry Bruckheimer's. And so we stopped there, and of course, you know, as an 80s kid, Days of Thunder, Top Gun, all that, you know, those were just staples of growing up. And I'm thinking, oh man, this Jerry Bruckheimer. And so we were kind of standing there, and the other trooper that was with me kind of stepped inside just to see who was in there, and he kind of poked his head out and he said, "You got to come in here." And so I walked in, and I looked, and lo and behold, Lynda Carter standing there. And I was such a fan of, you know, superheroes growing up, still am, but Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, all those, I watched those shows all the time growing up. And so Wonder Woman, you know, obviously was Lynda Carter's role, and she nailed it. And she, you know, she could have still worn the suit that day that I met her. And I'll show you this picture real quick. So she was in there with several other people, and Cal Ripken Jr. was kind of standing off behind her. I saw Mr. Bruckheimer was kind of off, and I think the governor was actually talking to him. But so the other trooper and I were standing there, and Lynda Carter, you know, we were just kind of like, you know, starstruck for a second there, and because the other trooper was about my age, and he knew exactly who she was. And so she looks at us and she goes, "Hey, are you guys part of the Secret Service that got in trouble for those prostitutes in Colombia?" And we just kind of laughed, and we're like, "No, man, we're governor's detail. We're Secret Service, but on a smaller scale." And I said, that wasn't us. And she started laughing. She goes, "Well, I was gonna say, you know, that's hit all the big news, and I was just wondering how you guys were dealing with all that." And you know, and she started kind of laughing, and I said, "Well, ma'am," I said no, I said that would have been a huge embarrassment. And I said, "I'd say those guys probably aren't going to be showing their faces anytime soon." And I said, "But on another note," I said, "I was such a huge fan of yours growing up." I said, might have even had a crush." And so she says, "Oh my goodness." And so the other trooper kind of chimed in, and he was like, "Well, Miss Carter, I was a big fan too." And she goes, "Oh, you guys, let's get a picture." And so she goes, "You all have made my day." And so the photographer that walks around with the governor, you know, he saw that happening and kind of went over and took a picture. And so we're standing there talking to her, and she goes, "Hey," he goes, "Wayne, get a picture with these two gentlemen. So they're the nicest guys." And we turn around, and it's Wayne Gretzky. And so we're like, "Oh my, the great one, Wayne Gretzky, is standing here." And so Wayne is kind of standing there, and he goes, "Yeah, sure." And so he takes a picture with us. And I mean, the only thing that would have topped that off was if Cal Ripken Jr. could have come over and taken a picture. But he was kind of on the other side of the room, and about that time the governor was finishing up, and so we got a quick picture with Gretzky too. And let me see if I can find that real quick. I'm using my tablet here, but now that would have been cool too. But I mean, you know, Lynda Carter and Wayne Gretzky, that, you know, you can't really ask for much more than that. And so, yeah, here it is. This is, it was longer than 6 years ago, but that was just kind of the picture. Me and the other trooper. So, but that's pretty cool. But yeah, so, you know, she was just such a sweetheart. And if you can see on this one, Cal Ripken Jr. is kind of standing over against the wall there. And, you know, and there's Gretzky and Lynda Carter. But yeah, it was just such a cool moment, you know, that you don't ever expect as a trooper to get to meet people like that. But on the governor's detail and when you're at the Derby, I mean, you're just in a target-rich environment as far as the who's who of TV, movies, sports, things like that. And so anyway, just wanted to share that little story with you, and hope you enjoyed it.